Lancashire police have released the body cam footage of the moment they first interviewed Andrew Burfield for the murder of Katie Kenyon.
These guys outside are concerned about Katie. Do you know where she is?
Yeah, no, I don't. What's happened is that I got a text at 2:30
today.
Yeah, saying I came to your house this morning. I'll show you a text.
From Katie?
Yeah.
Right.
But when I picked the kids up from school and came home, the keys are now behind the door. So we came into the keys behind the door. So she's been.
Sorry, back to the item she's dropped. Do we have a time frame of when we think she'll drop those items?
I dropped my kids up at 8:30 at school at 8:30. Came back this morning, got my keys from there. I was probably here for about 4:15 and I went to work.
Where do you think she'll be now? Oh, she's obviously driven a car down here, hasn't she?
Yes, parked at post came down here. Washed up from there.
They are concerned that Andrew Burfield may know the whereabouts of their loved one, and he distanced himself completely, says, "I've not seen Katie, I have no idea what you're talking about, nothing to do with it, I have no idea." He even goes on to the extreme of showing them on an iPhone 8 phone and showing them a series of messages that are purported to have come from Katie. The family equally will say, "We've received a load of messages purported to be from Katie, but we are certain and adamant they have not come from Katie."
She told me she went on a walk.
She what, sorry?
She told me, she said she dropped the car off this morning and the stuff. Before that message came through, what you up to, guys? That's me, what you up to, guys? And that were at 1:30. She put, just out on a walk. You?
The contents of the message, the makeup of the messages, inside the messages, the language, the grammar, the punctuation.
Spelled the dad's name wrong.
Yeah, all completely inconsistent with how Katie would write ordinarily.
Will you just try ringing a number for us? Is the phone still on?
I don't know. I've been ringing it.
Is it ringing or is it going to voicemail? Or?
Going to voicemail.
Hiya, Babs. I'm at work. Listen, I've just got your message. Will you please ring me? I'm a bit worried. Just ring me. You don't have to do this. I'm not worried about the money. I'm not worried about the money. Just ring me, please. I love you.
If you were to go looking for Katie now, where would you go? First place you'd go? Pendle Hill.
She's got a car.
So how would she get there? Would she walk?
Probably.
After dropping the keys off here for the car, you'd seriously think she'd walk to Pendle from here from around 2 o'clock this afternoon?
Sorry to interrupt. So are you concerned for Katie?
Yeah.
So how come, have you reported any of this?
No, because it's only just happened. I've had a sister
But
around.
you said them messages come at 2:30.
Yeah,
this
so the messages come through at 1:45.
Yeah.
And you've replied pretty much straight away. I know, I'm just wondering, because you said it's only just happened, but it's happened at like 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, but I picked the kids up. I came here at 4. To be honest with you, I thought it was just like, I don't know, silly.
So you weren't concerned?
I were, but I weren't, if you will.
Okay.
So yeah, so she just.
Is this out of character for her to just disappear like that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how come you thought she was just being silly, but now you're concerned?
So she's asked him to look after kids. She's going to go away, get herself sorted, make herself a better person. When she comes back, it's going to be everything that they wanted.
She's not much can't carry on like this. She's posted a car keys through the green certificates and to sell it.
Yeah. But he's given her £6,000 that she says she's going to use as payment to get herself into a rehab place and get herself sorted.
Despite him having taken her to court saying no, because she knows him sick, he's then given her £6,000, which is flat mind games, isn't it?
But he's had these messages from just before 2 today, but he's not reported them. He sent messages back saying that what the hell was going on here. It's weird.
This is when they went to his home and he denied any knowledge of knowing that the mother had been killed, and let alone that he was responsible. This week he has been jailed for 32 years for the murder of the mother of 2, and he appeared at Preston Crown Court last year where he pled guilty and then was sentenced for the planned and premeditated murder of his ex-girlfriend. 33-year-old Katie went missing from her home in Padiham on April the 22nd last year. Burfield was arrested the day after and he was charged on the 27th of April. 2 days after he revealed to police where he buried the mother of 2 in a shallow grave in Gisburn forest. Burfield denied murdering her, offering police an implausible cover story, saying that he threw an axe at her head while she was holding a Coke can. He said it was one accidental wound that killed her, but a post-mortem revealed that she had suffered 12 blows to the head by a blunt object, leaving her head shattered with chop-style wounds. Because of his reluctance to admit to the murder, Burfield took the case to trial at Preston Crown Court. However, the prosecution said there was a lot of police evidence, CCTV, and also forensics, and this made Andrew change his plea to guilty after the third day of the trial. The jury heard that Burfield planned to murder Katie and in March had created and saved pre-written texts on an application on his phone, and he was intending to send them to her children after he murdered her. On April the 21st, Burfield borrowed a spade and set of ladders from his father and travelled to Gisburn forest to dig a grave in the woods, a grave that he would later put Katie's body in. On April the 22nd, he drove to the forest and inflicted 12 lethal blows to her head and then buried her and returned to Burnley with her mobile phone. When he returned home, he sent the pre-written text to Katie's children from her phone, and he had the audacity, the prosecution said, to send one to himself. He made several calls from his phone to hers and left voicemails saying that he loved her. The prosecution said this was an attempt to cover up his tracks. Katie's family became suspicious as they knew that she would never walk out on her children, and they spotted mistakes in the way that he spelt the text messages and said that these were not from her. Her sisters confronted Andrew on Friday evening and he denied all knowledge of her disappearance, and on April the 23rd he dumped Katie's flip-flops as well as bloody plastic bags in a bin at a house that he'd been working on in Todmorden Road. These would later be recovered by the police. On Wednesday, April the 27th, 2022, he was charged with Katie's murder, although it wasn't until the 29th of April that he finally told police where she was buried. He was then taken to Gisburn Forest in a blue and yellow jumpsuit while handcuffed and led officers to the grave that he had created for the mother of two. In sentencing, Mr Justice Goose said Andrew Burfield pled guilty on his third day of trial for the murder of Katie Kenyon. On the 22nd of April this year, you carried out a planned and savage attack and hit her at least 12 times to the head with an axe. In your relationship with her before you murdered her, I am satisfied that you were manipulative and also controlling. They went on to say that the murder of Katie was cruel as it was savage, and the calmness that you displayed afterwards and during it highlights how dangerous you really are. The messages between you revealed how you deceived her, that you loved her while at the same time you manipulated her. You created a debt of £6,000 that she denied and then used it to scare her with the loss of her home. While at the same time you pretended to help her, you advised her to seek help in therapy for her anxiety. On the day of her murder, Katie had met you, the judge said, and you took an axe and a spade that you had used to dig the grave, and you murdered her. After arriving at the forest, you parked the van in a lay-by and walked to the place that you had chosen, carrying a cool box to pretend that it was for a picnic. The judge said that you cleaned the axe and spade, and it wasn't sufficient as there was some DNA still left on it. You also got rid of Katie's flip-flops and other items in a bin, and you went to great lengths to cover up this murder. The judge said these factors were substantially aggravated, and this demonstrates the seriousness of the murder, and it includes a considerable degree of planning. The severity of the injuries caused in the attack, the concealment of the body, and your attempts to dispose of evidence, alongside the cruel messages that you sent to her children, demonstrated how manipulative and controlling you really were. They could not be sure of the motive for the murder, but it was not for money or all that you felt threatened by her. However, you wanted to kill her, a young woman that was with children, and you carefully planned it out to the last detail. So this story is devastating, and to imagine that these children will grow up one day to hear about how their mother was killed is also agonising to imagine. But at the same time, it's really important to highlight these domestic violence related situations to try to make some people make better choices in their life. So really appreciate you joining me for this episode. Rest in peace to Katie Kenyon, and please don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel.